Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics and I provide people with hopefully another way of interpreting things. And well, all this being said, different topics that I take into account may include game interpretation, dream interpretation, deeper introspection, spirituality, and well, psychology and a few other things. The topic of today's video is about the concept of emo, the um, emotional music or whatever it's called, because I'm observing that this thing, and well, I was hinted at this video by someone else's video. um, I felt I had to do a short video on this. Well, hopefully it is short. Now I don't have a habit of making short videos too much because I don't mind providing a lot of the things that I know, but again, they kind of always tend to be like a bit, because I just don't want to give everything or most of what I know, mainly because I want to give people enough time to understand certain things, and more like I want to cuddle their curiosity instead of giving them flat answers they most likely will take for granted. So nowadays what I'm seeing is, well, what other people are seeing, a society that's becoming increasingly sick. Well, society has kind of been sick for numerous centuries, I'd say, due to parents not knowing how to raise children, parents giving birth to children just because one should, and because everyone else is doing this, and just because they think that they will be punished by some white-bearded fuck if they don't. And well, they kind of end up with children they don't like, and those children will be most likely abused, and those will become abusees uh, more and more, and they will also become abusers as they grow. As of what I see around myself and what I've been saying for a while, um, I can say that in families, when you are born, you're gonna learn some kind of wilderness, some kind of savageries, which most likely you will improve on when you get at school. The problem is, if you get to school and you don't know those, most likely you will have to experience those, and unfortunately you might actually experience those on yourself. Now the point is, this might sound like that cheesy intro for one of those people who have beaten all the odds, maybe, and now they're suddenly some kind of entrepreneur or something like that. Um, the point about this is simple, okay? Um, there is this passion that society has for trauma. I'm guessing you're already sick about this. Most likely you had a feeling to puke already, or not far away from that. Yes, people have this passion for trauma, okay? And this is actually very good, because this trauma is nothing else than something that leads people to becoming sick, because the more they propagate trauma within them, spiritually speaking, they are actually promoting certain diseases to actually trigger and happen in their body, okay? I'm not gonna be one of those people who say, and who will promote that literally everything has and only has spiritual causes, right? Everything starts from the spirit. More or less, this is not something that belongs to me as fully fledged experience, so I simply cannot accept it fully. As long as that happens, I can only accept it as a possible truth, okay? It is something that most likely can be true, but it's not entirely true for me. Now, if you look closely, you will see that this idea of emotional exploitation has actually gone to far greater peaks and far greater levels. Now, some people will most likely ask how and why. Well, let's actually take it into account. Emotional music that makes people want to cry, and the reason is, why would you want to cry? Like, why would you want to propagate you know trauma and drama, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to be, like, or find ways of becoming more peaceful and happier in your life instead of being a drama queen? Okay, so many people actually do this, and you can actually see this in video games, right? Dramatical deaths of characters that people will always sympathize with. This is a very pesky psychological trick, because just like people overreact regarding everything, because no one trains your mind, and no one trains you how to handle your mind and your emotions, people will simply get stuck and attached to anyone who they kind of resonate with. But when you resonate with someone, it doesn't mean that you like something at those, right? They're just vibrating at a very similar level with you. So if you're a drama queen, most likely you will be drawn to a lot of these celebrities nowadays that have, well, they don't ever have their own agendas. Okay, they can't have their own agendas because most likely they have signed some contracts, and those contracts made them somewhat famous, and well, that fame of theirs means that they're technically following other people's agendas. Okay, and as long as that happens, basically they don't have their own agenda, so I simply can't follow them because they're not promoting themselves. They're just some puppets. They're just like, most of them, not all again, but whoever signs a contract in this world is most likely just following other people's dreams. They're actually making other people's dreams come true, and those people will be abused in a way, and they have to be abused because their music has to promote suffering, right? Drug addiction, feeling that you're some kind of boss in this world, and everything that is promoting basically behaviors that have you stray away from your authenticity, because through that you're gonna feel bad, because not being authentic means you'll feel bad, because the more authentic you are, the more blissed out you'll be. The further you stray away from your authenticity, the more you'll suffer. Not because I want it, or not because I say it, but because just look around you. See, all the people who are drama queens, do they look like they're blissed out? They will probably be a bit blissed because they find some suckers that, they will spend their time giving them attention, but, in the greater depths of them, they will still be, miserable, because people who are not authentic, they will be miserable. Poor people are miserable because they are simply running away from the authenticity, right? They are running away from abundance, which is their birthright. So the point about video games and music, they have simply been tinged with this psychological aspect. Okay, people not having an original life, they will simply get stuck in attachments towards any star, any celebrity or band or whatever that they feel deeply attracted to. It also happened to me. We also go through this, but one has to realize sooner or later that it's not worth following people who don't have a personal agenda, right? Like, I can simply follow an indie developer because they're kind of promoting their own game, their own idea, right? Or some storyteller, or someone who's actually drawing, because even if they're creating drawings for other people, they're promoting their style, more or less, hopefully. So the point about this is the industry now is just pumping more and more of these pain inflictors, right? All of these, so many bands, and of course I have a picture with Green Day. Now, I'm not saying that Green Day are bad or evil, or they're promoting pain and suffering. The emotional wave, okay, is something that is more representative based on or starting from the year 60s, 70s, when the newer generation started appearing. And there have been a few psychologists who stated that these people have a completely different aura, and they were called the indigo children because they have somewhat of an indigo aura, which is representative of the third eye. And especially the generations that come now, their third eyes are their third eye is kind of already open. It is not fully open in the sense that they can see physically, they can see glimpses of the other worlds, because most likely that can scare them, but it is open in such a way that they can easily perceive through the bombardment of lies and illusions that this matrix is all about, right? It's all about how much you believe in the news, how much you love a certain band, a certain celebrity, whose purpose is to just keep you imprisoned and keep you in a certain cage that you can't see, smell, or hear, but also make it sufficiently pleasant for you. Why do you think everything nowadays is based on the principle of, delivery, okay, and also self-service? Because the point is, the more you enjoy your prison, the more you stray away from any possibility of actually realizing that you are trapped in such a prison. Now, of course, it's none of our business, none of my business and other people's businesses, because you're here to experience your own life, not other people's. And for a certain period of your life, especially in childhood, you kind of experience what it's like to be a slave. Because being a child most likely is being a slave to other people's egos, and most likely they will install how to be a slave to your own ego as well. And that will also attract certain demons and parasitic entities. I've been discussing about this in other videos, because they are always attracted by the idea of lack. And if you can't rule over yourself, most likely you will have a lack of control. So basically, having a lack of control means that you are manifesting a lack, so you're nothing else than a lighthouse for such entities to also come in. And they will come in because most likely they have your parents, they have some of your closest friends. And why these happen is, to a certain extent, you also need to experience some of these things, okay? So the point is, all this emotionality is only used against you. You have narcissistic people, sociopathic people, they're not fully fledged necessarily, but they have a lot of those traits. They have a lot of those traits because they have been constantly abused, right? And when you're constantly abused, well, there is a problem, because that will become your reality to a certain extent. You will start accepting these ideas that you suck, you're not good of anything, you're never gonna strike rich in life, and your dreams are irrelevant, and all these things, and all this straying away from yourself will simply provide so many ideas, okay, with a nest. You will start thinking that you're not worth anything, life sucks, and it's gonna become easily, sooner or later, something like projecting it on others. Because if you don't like your life, most likely you will project it on others. It's not my life that sucks, it's other people's lives that sucks, it's other people that sucks, society sucks, the government sucks, right? And everything like that. And the more distracted you become, you simply start death spiraling more and more, because these people who have these propagandas, all they're interested in is your emotions, because the emotions that you put out are gonna feed those parasites that control you, more or less. And also the guardians of the matrix, right? And the matrix itself. The more people invest their emotions in things that don't have any purpose, any link, anything to do with themselves, they are simply feeding this matrix. It is crumbling, don't worry about that, but it might take it more time, especially with so many people still deeply invested into it. Now again, there is a balance on the other side, because you simply can't allow this construct to suddenly fail, because that will mean a lot of people will simply go haywire, okay? Everything has to be purged in the waking of the new earth. Everything will be purged, systematically. And the occults and the leaders and all these folks who are said to be the wrongdoers, the evildoers, they have specific knowledge on how to do certain things, because they know there's a balance that has to be preserved in what the evolution of humanity is concerned. And yes, there will be people who want humanity to be purged, and there will be people who want humanity not to be purged. But at the same time, there will actually be no one who would want humanity to be purged as any hidden society, because if humanity would be purged, whom will you actually rule, right? The most evil ruler makes sure that those they will rule will always exist, most likely in harsher and harsher control features and options, right? But those actually have to exist, because if those perish, whom will you rule, right? You'll remain the only one on the planet, right? So the this industry of emotions, right, is nothing else than a projection, a very pesky and kinky projection, right, a very perverted projection of all the narcissistic and sociopathic and or sociopathic abuses that have existed in this world throughout the time, that they actually are a very deep karmic aspect of ourselves as a whole, as a collective, as a race, and as individuals as well. And our purpose here is to simply help at purging those things from the collective awareness, okay, that represents us. All this music and these video games are nothing else than an experiment showing how easily people run away from themselves because they don't like what they are. They are conscious that what they are, or partly, or in rare cases not at all conscious that what they are is definitely what they really are, okay? They have just absorbed a lot of shit from other people, so now they simply dislike that, so they will simply embrace literally every other distraction because they're using it as what I call a drug activity. Technically nothing else than, activities that result in, distracting you from something, just like getting drugged. People get drugged just because they don't like this life, but in order to like life you actually need to like yourself. That's the first condition. So I would say that, there is an outburst, right, an explosion of this emotional music, because all these celebrities, most of them can even be born in laboratories, because they suddenly, like, there are these celebrities, like, where the fuck do they actually appear from? No one knows where they appeared from. It's just that, the previous day no one knew the fuck anything about them, and the next day they are like, everyone knows about them, and you can simply see that they have inscribed corrupted runes upon them, and well, that's what I call tattoos. And you can see that tattoos actually have a deeply spiritual meaning, and it's something of enforced slavery. And if you don't believe me, just look at porn stars and just look at where they are positioned. Usually you will see them, in most cases you will see those positioned in the Swadhisthana area, the sexual part, because those are simply ruled by sexual demons, okay? And whoever those have sex with, technically they're sharing their demons with. I think I've actually made a video about this, or several. I have several videos about parasitic entities. And all this being said, I will wrap this video up. I've said certain things, so hopefully I sparked some curiosity in people. So just remember, all these emotions that are being used against you, they're just used against you so that you simply suffer, so that you simply feed the matrix, okay? Your parents will use emotions against you because their parents also did that, so they have simply acquired some of those narcissistic traits and or sociopathic traits, like gaslighting, having you turn against yourself and against your sanity. Whatever you say, no, you're just imagining things, and the more you suffer is technically you're creating cancer within yourself, because cancer means when a bit of you turns against you, okay? And even when you quarrel against yourself is a sort of cancer. Now, it's not materialized at the physical realm, yes, but it's still a sort of cancer, okay? Now, I'm not gonna go any way further. This video is just as a teaser in a way. So all this being said, hopefully you like the type of content that I'm creating. Feel free to like and subscribe. Feel free and share this with your friends, so we can actually help raise the awareness of people. If you have people that you simply cannot convince, because the closer you are to people, the more likely they will stray away from you, it's most likely because you're not gonna be the one to enlighten them. Feel free to share some of my content with them, or guide them to my content, so that, who knows, maybe my ideas can actually serve them better and spark some waking up. And I've realized this in time, that at times you simply can't wake certain people up, but you have to create some sort of roles in which you guide them towards realizing something, okay? This is the only way you can actually help people. You guide them towards realizing certain things through their own logics, because the truth can never be taught. This is something that I would really want people to understand. The truth can never be taught, it can only be realized. Okay, that is why people who promote themselves as truth speakers, most likely they are fake gurus, or they just want some attention, or in many situations, okay, I don't want to demonize people, in many situations they speak their own truths. Okay, they speak from their own experience, but if you don't have that experience, you cannot simply accept that other than as a belief. All this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Take care of yourselves. Whatever you are doing is the best you can at the right pace for you. Take care of yourselves again, your loved ones, but especially yourself, and you'll see if you do well, you can also help the others. All this being said, you are loved and appreciated again. Thank you for watching. Ferenc Bor signing out.